Leopards are survivors, secretive, adaptable, resilient. But even they can't outrun expanding towns, busy highways, and shrinking wild spaces. Hoedspruit is undeniably the safari capital of South Africa and a booming hub in the Lowveld, serving as a gateway to Greater Kruger. While this rapid growth brings economic investment, it's putting massive strain on the area's environment and infrastructure. Hoedspruit's R40 provincial road is the lifeline connecting local communities, towns and reserves, but it's also a death trap for wildlife. Between May 2024 and August 2026, 9 leopards were killed in collisions with cars on the region's roads, 7 of them on the R40 alone. 5 of those deaths occurred within a 15-kilometre stretch. 1 leopard was killed by a train in the same period. That's where Ingwe Research Program steps in.
In May, we lost 4 leopards on the road. Every weekend, I was being told that a new leopard was found and we were able to ID that leopard using the AI platform. And I was like, oh my word, we have 4 leopards in a row that got killed on the road. Is that like a new threat that no one knew about? Then in August, again, we lost 3 leopards, 2 on the road, 1 on the train. Again, we knew almost all of them, which leopard they were. And then the last one was in October 2024. So now, suddenly in a year, we lost 8 leopards, 7 on the road, 1 on the train. And I was thinking like, should we do something about it? Is 2024 a very bad year? Or is it actually the norm, but no one has been looking at it? So what do we do? Do we just do nothing and maybe wait for it to be the norm? Or do we try to look at the issue and understand right away if there's actually a huge problem or not? And even if it was not a huge problem, like those leopards and other animals are actually dying on the road. And wild dogs, quite a few wild dogs were hit also, which are an endangered species. So we wanted to do something, and that's why we started the Road Ecology project in January 2025. Globally, I believe the population is not doing badly. I think it would take a bit of time for us to analyze all of the data that we have on the leopards. So I would not say yet that the leopards are struggling, but they're definitely facing challenges in the area. We've recorded over 200 leopards so far in all of the reserves that are participating to our network. We still have many blind spots, so there's definitely more than that. However, throughout the years, the area around Hoedspruit has been expanding. The population, and there's more and more people that are coming, there's more and more cars, and the more infrastructure as well. I remember from a couple of years ago to now, so there's some lands that were just pure nature, and now it's all being built. So all of this has an impact on where and how the leopards are going to adapt and go through. So I think they might be fine now, but it's not going in the right direction. But again, I think we need more time to analyze all of our data and see how things are going to unfold for leopards. But the challenges are definitely there.
The leopard is more than a master of stealth and a silent hunter. It's a true apex predator, and its presence ripples through the entire food web. By keeping mixed feeders like the impala in check, animals that both graze the grass and browse the trees, the leopard ensures the vegetation structure remains intact for countless other species as well. But its influence is even more profound. Through mesopredator release control, the leopard acts as a natural governor. By keeping smaller carnivores like jackals in check, it prevents the overpredation of ground nesting birds and small mammals. In culling the weak, it polices the gene pool, ensuring only the most resilient survive. But this ancient balance is fracturing. In southern Africa, leopards are being squeezed into a mosaic of remaining wilderness and human habitation, where they are often the scapegoats, persecuted for livestock losses often caused by the very mesopredators they naturally control. Some farmers retaliate by shooting, trapping, and poisoning them. Illegal hunting, snaring, and demand for leopard skins for cultural regalia are the biggest threats to the species. The leopard's disappearance creates a void that echoes. When we lose the leopard, we don't just lose a favorite Big Five sighting, we lose one of the architects that hold the entire ecological web together.
If we lose an apex predator such as the leopard, the whole ecosystem might collapse basically. So that's why they also call like keystone species. They are there, they're holding the whole system together. Of course, there are other predators like your lions and hyenas, but they all play a different role. So when you lose one, it all becomes imbalanced, and this is where your whole natural system might start collapsing.
Ingwe Research Program is a non-profit company in South Africa. By working with guides, lodges, and citizen scientists, collaborating with different stakeholders, and using data logged through its innovative app, Ingwe has documented over 14,000 leopard sightings. Ingwe uses AI to track who they are, where they move, and where they're most at risk.
So by doing all of this, our aim is to effectively conserve the leopards of South Africa, and we want that in the area that we operate, that the leopard population at the minimum stays stable and at best increases. So we are aiming to expand. So this area, the Hoedspruit area, is kind of like our pilot project. And if what we're doing is working and we're getting the buy-in, which I think we are, it's been almost 3 years now, we are operating in the area and have a lot of different people involved. If that works and we can effectively monitor the leopard population and tackle the different threats that they are facing, then we can move to another area or replicate the model in another area and do the same, and then help another leopard population.
Marine says Ingwe's road ecology project is focusing on the R40 because it's a hotspot. 6 leopards were lost on this single stretch of road in 2024. While 2025 had 1 recorded fatality and the start of August 2026 another when this documentary was completed, these numbers only account for the animals actually found. Many others are likely hit and never recovered. The R40 is a high-risk barrier, bisecting game reserves and wilderness areas where animal crossings are a frequent occurrence. However, the team's research highlights a stark contrast within a specific 50-kilometer stretch. To the south of Hoedspruit, the road is flat with high visibility, and the boundary fences are electrified. This section has seen far fewer road kills and 0 leopard fatalities. But as you move to the northern section, the landscape changes significantly.
First, the fences are different on both sides of the road. So they don't stop anymore as much as in the south, but also mainly the slope of the road is changing constantly. So it goes up and down, up and down. So the visibility is really not great. So I do think this has an impact. And then of course, the speed limit, which is between 80 and 120, unfortunately, not a lot of people respect the speed limit. But to be honest, even if any wildlife that crosses in front of you, even at 80, you will hit it. And I think anyone who had killed a leopard or wild dogs on the road probably got a bit traumatized and wish they hadn't hit them. But if it comes at night and you don't see it, there's not much you can do. But so the speed might be a bit of an issue. I mean, especially even more so when people drive even faster. I think reckless driving, I think everyone's been aware that the driving is not the best also in the area. And then the lack of visibility on the side. The vegetation on the side of the road, it can be quite high, so it does mean that you won't see any animal coming, basically. So I think it's a whole range of factors, and we are looking at all of these different factors when analysing all the data for that road ecology project.
The first pillar of the road ecology project takes us beneath the tarmac, into the hidden world of the culverts and underpasses. These existing structures are an opportunity for safe passage across the busy roads, but only if animals actually choose to use them. To find out, marine and research partner Transfrontier Africa have been placing camera traps at culvert entrances. This isn't just about spotting a leopard. It's a study to understand the who, the how often, and the why. By tracking which species are using the culverts and how frequently they do so, the team can measure the effectiveness of the corridors.
The last thing we want is for the R40 to become this hard barrier. We need to understand where are the safe crossing points, how the culverts can be used as corridors, because we want to be able to link the different population. We can't have the R40 fragmenting the habitat and isolating population, because in the bigger picture, that leads to reduced genetic diversity. If the population on the eastern side and on the western side can't get together anymore, they are going to become isolated, and that's not good for any species in general.
The early results from the dry season survey have been an incredible win for the project. The cameras have shown that leopards are using these culverts.
We even had a female going with her cubs, so it's been very nice to see that learning process happening as well. So the cameras have been giving us quite a lot of information as to how the leopards are apprehending the road. We had leopards also, sometime actually a mating pair that was using the culverts together, and then separately they both went above the same culvert, so they went above the road. So we're trying also to understand the decision of the leopard into using or not the culvert.
So the project for my thesis is going to be monitoring to see what species are crossing through these culverts already, and then we take a bunch of measurements on variables to see whether there's certain culverts and aspects that the wildlife prefers to use to cross, and then from there we might be able to make some recommendations on what's to do when they reinstall culverts or upgrade the roads.
Ultimately, we want to inform SANRAL and municipal management in the ways that they can make the roads safer for both people and animals.
So that's one aspect. The second aspect is looking at the road kills. So we are having over 50 citizen scientists in the area that are helping us to monitor road kills. So they are sharing any dead animal that they find on the road, and they're putting it on WhatsApp with GPS location, the species, pictures. It's not a great WhatsApp group to be on, honestly. It's a bit gruesome. And we're also doing patrols. So we're doing systematic patrol in the dry season and in the wet season. We're doing 42 days in total every morning. And we are, whenever we see an animal, we stop, we record the species, of course, but also what is the landscape around that roadkill? What type of fences do we have? What is the vegetation around it? What was the condition? Was the road going up or down, etc.? Was it a bending road? So we are looking at all of this characteristic. So that will allow us to understand where are potentially the hotspot, or where all of these roadkills are happening. And then the third aspect is understanding where leopards are actually crossing the R40. So is it completely random, or are there places where they will often cross? Initially, what we wanted to do is to put colors on leopard, but we decided not to go ahead with it because it would actually not give us the information that we need. So we started a new project. We are using detection and tracking dogs that are currently being trained to detect leopard scent and leopard scat, and they are going to be doing transect on the R40 and pick up the scent of the leopards.
We are running a pilot survey in collaboration with Ingwe Research Program. The aim of this pilot survey is using conservation dogs to assist us in finding where leopard activity has been. This includes using both scent detection dogs to identify leopard activity signs, as well as dedicated tracking dogs to assist us in not only finding leopard spoors, but also tracking those leopard spoors. This is something that's quite new to us, so there are obviously a lot of variables and uncertainties. The project is still in its infancy, so we are still in the training stage of the program, but we aim to teach the dogs this so that we can have their assistance to identify where are leopards crossing across roads in order to assist us in identifying crossing hotspots for wildlife, so that we can identify these places in an effort to reduce wildlife collisions on roads. The project will then, if successful, we will then roll out onto other projects, including also using dogs to assist us in finding out where we could target camera trap placements, particularly outside protected areas.
Now that we will understand how often do the leopard and other wildlife are using the culverts, where are the roadkill hotspots, where are the crossing hotspots. So we'll have a whole bunch of data. And in terms of mitigation measures, there is one that we are going to implement, which is the most simple one, which is just simply putting road signs. Road signs, they're great. It's good for awareness. We are putting them up because the community also has asked us to do something now on the road, even if we don't have all of our data analyzed. But there was quite a big push, especially after we lost that last leopard. There was a bit of an outcry from the community that said, like, please do something. So we are installing those triangular leopard sign with written under predators crossing in an area where we lost 4 leopards on the road, which is basically 15 kilometers of a section of the road. And when we look at our data from the dry season, we can see this is a hotspot where most of the roadkills are happening. So hopefully those signs will have a bit of an impact on the drivers, but that's not the most impactful mitigation measures. What we think will be making a difference is not to focus on the people or on the drivers, is to enhancing existing infrastructure, and this is the culverts. So what we are aiming to do is to add low erected fences on each side of culverts to guide animals to use those culverts. So now you might tell me, wait, but a leopard will go above that fence, because we know leopards, they don't care about fences and they can jump and all of this. But we are expecting the leopards to follow game paths, that are going to be created by other animals. We know that the leopards are already using culverts, so they understand the concept of going through the culvert. And also in between two of the reserve, there is a cat gate, like same thing that you have in your house for your house cat. So the same system in between two reserves. And what they've realized is that the leopards, they understood that the flat gate is safe for them to cross. Instead of trying to cross under the fence in another location or use an existing hole, they actually walk along the fence and purposefully go under that flat gate. So that's what we're expecting the leopards to do as well. Of course, we'll have to monitor it. After all of this is being implemented, we are going to do another survey to look at how effective those measures are. And I'm also, of course, we're doing this for the leopards, but it's going to benefit so many other species as well. Especially I'm thinking about all of the civets that get also killed. They are going to start using the culverts more. And even wild dogs. The wild dogs, we have never seen them using the culverts yet. I think they haven't figured it out yet, but hopefully when they hit that fence, that mini fence, they are going to follow it and also be brave enough to go through them to cross safely. So hyenas, it's a bit more difficult. We captured them on our camera traps and they were sniffing around the culverts, being a bit curious, but none of them actually made it through yet during the first survey. So I think they're not very confident, and also the hyenas are not as flexible as the leopards. So they will probably only go through the bigger one, the one that are 90 centimeters in diameter. They won't go through a 61.
After Marine's interview was filmed, the wet season survey data revealed that hyenas had been using the bigger culverts to cross. Hyenas are also known to use culverts in the Kruger for denning.
So it would be also very interesting to see if the hyenas, now that also there's low erected fences, if they are also going to start being brave enough to go through. But I also just want to add that those fences are not going to be added absolutely everywhere, because indeed, what if one animal just doesn't want to cross through the culvert? They still need to be able to cross somewhere else, but then it could be in an area where the visibility is much better, not in a band, not like where there's a big dip or anything. Not linked to the road ecology project, but we are trying to get off the ground another project with another partner called TerraSense. And with TerraSense, we are looking at designing new tracking devices for leopards. And those tracking devices will not be like your bulky colors with a terrible battery life and really low resolution. They will be without battery, high resolution, lasting for years, and a complete different design that will not impact the leopards. So we are also looking for new sponsors for that specific project.
After intense development and field testing by TerraSense and Moya Kulula Wildlife Centre, the world's first rechargeable wireless tracking tag for pangolins has arrived. It is ultra-lightweight, reusable, and offers wireless charging and high-resolution tracking, increasing the speed and quality of behavioral data collection. Most importantly, it dramatically reduces the month-on-month cost for rehab centres, easing pressure on teams tasked with release, monitoring, and long-term care. In the future, TerraSense and Ingwe plan to develop similar tracking technology for leopards.
With Ingwe, we are using technology, and specifically AI technology, to help us process all of the images that we are receiving. To give an idea of numbers, I think since we started, we received over 19,000 images from, I think, 14,000 sightings, unique sightings. So it's a huge amount of images, and without AI and without technology, we'd never be able to go through that amount. it looks at the spot pattern of the leopards. So the AI will compare different images, different spot patterns, and tell us if it's a match or not between different images. So the AI first decides what side of the leopard it is. So if we have a right flank, then it will compare all of the right flank images against each other. And after that, we will be able to confirm if those images belong to the same individual or not. If it belongs to the same individual, all of the information goes into that individual web page. And from there on, we can start analyzing all of the data and understanding the leopard's movement, how often are they being seen, etc. It is very exciting because we have launched our new mobile app that will allow citizen scientists to log all of their leopard sightings. They will be able to see all of the ID kits of the leopard in the area, to see the home ranges also of the leopards in the reserve, and it will keep track of all of the leopard they've seen, all of the sightings they've had. You can even earn badges when you get 10 sightings, 20, 50, 100 sightings if you're very lucky. So you get different badges according to how many sightings you submitted. And people would get almost instant feedback on which leopard they've seen. We will also integrate the AI into the mobile app. So you will have the AI working directly in the background, and people will be able to see, okay, these are like the top 3 matches, and people can help us also identifying those leopards. So that's a way for anyone in the area, wherever you are, to participate in helping us to monitor leopards. Whether it's inside the reserve, whether it's in a farmland, whether it's on the road, anywhere people can participate that way. And we've been extremely lucky because that whole mobile app, we had a developer, Liam Hoffman. He's the one who's developed the app for us, free of charge, and it's been an amazing learning curve for all of us. So we're really excited to have it out there, and what is even more amazing is that it could be used for other species, for wild dogs, for example. The same app could be used just specifically for wild dogs.
Nsakelo, a leopard originally from the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate. Marine says Nsakelo is the perfect ambassador for Ingwe because of the various threats he's been dealing with. After dispersing from the wildlife estate, he's been found crossing the R40 over and over. He's also been found in agricultural areas and on private game farms where he could potentially be getting into conflict with farmers.
So he's also encountering people, and it was in bright daylight where the workers took pictures of him under a citrus tree. So Nsakelo is also moving outside protected areas, in area where he can get into conflict with people. He's been going to area where there are snares as well. For now, hopefully he hasn't caught any, but it's actually been a year now that we haven't seen him. So he's probably looking again for his new territory, but we're just hoping that he's not one of these leopards that potentially was hit on the road and just never found, or that he's not one of these leopards that caught a snare and was never found, or one that was illegally hunted because he killed livestock or game from a hunting farm or a game breeding farm. So Nsakelo, he's really the leopard that represents what the leopard of Hoedspruit can go through in this landscape. Living with leopards doesn't sound something very easy to do on a day-to-day. There's different type of people. We have the residents of the area that might have the leopards in their background, and we actually did a socio-ecological survey with residents of Hoedspruit to understand what is their perception of living with leopards around. Are they more prone to coexistence or more prone to conflict? And we were very glad to see that people are more prone to coexistence. So the residents in the area, I would say there's no conflict with leopard, and they managed to live with them pretty well. Now, if we are looking at farmers that have livestock or game, then these people will be probably the one who have more challenges living with leopards, because automatically the leopards are going to prey on some of their livestock, on some of their game. So I think the first thing to do is to acknowledge the problem, like to hear people out, but also to try to measure it, because from studies that have been done in other areas, there's a bit of a discrepancy between what farmers think is happening to what is actually happening. So they might think like, yes, leopards have killed X amount of our animals, but if you look at the reality, it might be much less. However, I do think that when this happens, when there is proof that there is depredation, we need to find ways to compensate the farmers, and we need to find incentives for people, for the farmers to accept to coexist with leopards. So it could be through like leopard-friendly certification, where farmers will show that they are doing everything in their power to mitigate those threats. So it can be in terms of what fences they have, in terms of how they are managing their livestock. And then if we can provide them with a certification like this one, then they can also show that their product is respecting wildlife. So I think it would be kind of the same principle as with the honey and the honey badgers, where people in South Africa are selling honey with a honey badger friendly tag also on their honey that shows that they are not in conflict with the honey badger and managing to coexist with them, even if they are in direct competition. So I think I would be more working on something like that. It's not something we're focusing on now, and I would have to do much more research to really understand the extent of the issue here. At this stage, I would not know exactly how to tackle this. I think it will be a project when we have a whole team again, that then we can start looking at this.
Ingwe's work goes beyond keeping leopards off roads. The program is a conservation think tank exploring how leopards move through non-protected areas. It explores how human-wildlife coexistence can be improved and how to create ecological corridors between South Africa's great wilderness spaces, improving connectivity and the safe dispersal of wildlife. The program is helping to reduce the research gap. 85% of leopard research in South Africa takes place inside protected areas, even though leopards mainly occur outside of them. The challenge, of course, is funding. High-tech camera traps, fuel, trained researchers, and long-term monitoring all require support.
Without staff and without the structure of the organization, there is no project, there is no research, there is nothing. So definitely part of the money always goes to our operational cost. As a non-profit organization, we rely solely on sponsorship and donation. So without money, we don't have projects. So for example, for the road ecology project, we started because we got a sponsorship from a company called ANF Systems. So they are the one who donated money to the project and allowed us to do that whole data collection. And without that money, we'll have never been able to understand what is the extent of the road kills on that R40, how often are the leopard getting hit, or any of these data would have never existed if we don't have that money. And then the money from Africa Geographic allowed us to continue that field work, to cover all our costs for the wet season survey. So we are relying completely on people giving money that allow us to do the research and to then implement different solutions. It of course goes also to equipment. For example, the money that we received for the road ecology project allowed us to buy 60 camera traps with batteries, with SD cards, with protective cases. It allowed us to cover over 5,000 kilometers of road, to do the road kills, to check our cameras. And I think I've calculated it that in terms of like man hours, it's for over 1,000 man hours that money allowed us to cover, because that's all of the field work that is and all of the equipment that is needed to conduct. That was just from the first survey. So it's just to give a bit of an idea of how that money is being used.
But conservation is rarely a straight path. Setbacks bring new challenges. Unexpected events, flooding for example, can disrupt operations and stretch already limited resources.
We've had no break for the last week, with more to come. rural towns are inundated.
You can see on your screen there heavy rainfall and of course persisting for
flooding
the
in
next
South
few
Africa
days.
has forced hundreds of people to evacuate Kruger National Park.
Delays in securing funding often mean the program has to postpone investments in the people, equipment, and infrastructure needed for research. The team must balance immediate needs with long-term ambitions, limiting how quickly it can respond to new challenges and opportunities.
So we're now checking the camera traps to see if they're still there after all the roads have eroded. And as you can see in front of me, this waterfall used to be a road. And Kyle is just down there, grovelling around, trying to extract the camera from the water. Just see him bringing it up now. That is dedication for you. Wow.
My request would just be share this interview with your network. The reality is that in your network, you might have people that will absolutely love the project and want to get involved and might get through their own donation or through their own company or know someone who has the ability to help the project. Oh, he's putting his scent so nicely everywhere.
Yeah, for trying the dog, it's perfect.
Yeah, well, the dog would be amazing. Get people involved in the project. That would be the first thing. Most of the sponsors that we got or donation were through our newsletter because it reached out to people and then they contacted us and be like, I want to help. So I think that's the first thing to do. And of course, you're welcome to donate. We always welcome money. But yeah, that would be what I would request.
Ultimately, the fate of Hoedspruit's leopards isn't just in the hands of researchers. It's in the hands of the residents, travelers, and conservation enthusiasts who value a world where these magnificent cats still roam free.
When you book a safari with Africa Geographic, you're not just going on holiday. You're consciously celebrating Africa. A portion of every safari sold goes directly to carefully selected conservation projects like the Ingwe Research Program, making a real difference on the ground to ecosystems, to biodiversity, and to local communities.